Did you write in the from that period onwards? Did you write music? Did you write things
Yeah,
about?
even when I bought my first guitar at the age of 10, I would always be trying to make up songs. You know, that was that was the part about it,
Mm.
because I was more or less, I would say, trying to be a poet. I would write, uh, make up things, and I was pretty good at making words rhyme. So
Mm.
um, if I wasn't telling jokes, I was trying to sing something.
Yeah. So if we move then to the new album that you've got going platinum, where did you start in terms of the writing?
Well, I didn't. I wrote the album before that. The
Mm.
age don't mean a
Right,
thing.
right.
Now I wrote all of the songs on that album except for one,
Mm.
and so I that gave me a chance to display my songwriting, and then they passed it on uh, to Easy Eye Sound, and that's when I met Dan. I
Mm.
really didn't know anything about him until
Okay.
I actually went into the studio. Uh, I, like I say, I was basically doing my carpentry work and playing for the church on Sundays,
Mm-hmm.
and which I still play for the same church when I'm at home, when I'm not on the road.
Okay.
And so all of this time, I hadn't heard of the Black Keys or anything because I wasn't into rock and roll. I was mostly doing the gospel and Southern soul and Delta blues, I would call it.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a new line of work for me. But it was a great opportunity, and I felt like I could do it once I found out what they wanted me to do. But the greatest thing about working with Dan, he just gave me the story, and he had arranged the music. He made, you know, they were making that music up as, you know, and I was sitting there listening to them make it up, and I was trying to figure the timing, you know, and get the feel of it as they was doing the music. But he would tell me the words of the song in my ear because I can back up and say I wouldn't have been doing music if I hadn't lose my sight. I would have been probably doing the same thing. But I got to where I couldn't read the tape measure well enough to tell the difference between a 3 and an 8, and you get to making miscuts on expensive material. So soon I had to go ahead and take early retirement from that. And that's how I wind up falling back to the music, because I had all this free time on my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually went to Helena, Arkansas, to a festival. And the festival was for 3 days. And I was usually just going to go and have some fun and relax for those 3 days. But I met the guy from Music Maker Relief Foundation, and they told me about the project that they had going on. And later they flew me out to see it firsthand, and I felt like it was something I wanted to be a part of. So after I did the first recording with them, they sent it to Fat Possum Records, and then at the time I didn't know that Dan had started through Fat Possum, and then moved to his own record label. So they gave it past Fat Possum, passed it on to Dan. So when I met him, like I say, I was in the studio. I didn't know anything about him until then, but I didn't have any. It didn't take me long to get to know him because his dedication to music, the long hours and stuff that they put in. You know, we put in 10, 12, 14 hours a day just doing the same thing. You know, trying to get all those songs out. the first day that we went in, we went from scratch, and I think we recorded about 4 or 5 songs the first day. And so then when they played it back at the end of the night, I was just kind of amazed because I was actually sitting there watching them create the music. And I'd never worked with Nashville musicians like that before. Right. But these guys were, I would say, the best of the best because they've been around forever, and they knew they had their own way of creating the music, and they was writing a 1, 2, and a 4, and they was doing the number system that I hadn't really ever heard of. And I've never really read music. I always just play by ear. If I hear something and I like it, I could play it. You know, I'd find it on the guitar. So they were the ones that I feel like created all of this this music. I don't want to take credit for something I didn't do. The songs on this album, Goin Platinum, some of them wrote it and co-wrote them with Dan, so I just had to learn the lyrics. They basically had heard my voice, and I hadn't heard any of their music, so it made it easy for me when Dan says, "I'm going to tell you the story, and I want you to sing it like you feel it." Right. And so when you go into a room and you're thinking you got to be an actor, or you got to try to do this or that their way, when they allowed me to just be myself, and because it's like, no, I don't want you to do it like me. I want you to do it like the way you feel it, you know. So it made it a lot easier just to capitalize the story. And he would have, I can't read because I'm legally blind. In just a matter of seconds, the paper just goes blank. You know, I suffer from glaucoma, so I only have a tunnel vision in one eye. So I'm totally blind in one. I just say blind in one eye and can't see out the other one. But I can feel the music, so I knew I didn't have to see, you know, to play my instrument. But
sorry. So is that the thing that for you the most important thing is the emotion in the song, and then
right? Yeah. Because the voice is great. Don't get me wrong. I thank God for that. But if you don't get the feel of it, or what the artist is trying to, the songwriter's trying to say, and I can't deliver it. I don't know about other people, but I have to put myself in that situation, and try to sing my way out of it, you know.
Right. Is there one track on the album that you connected with more than others? Is there one that sticks out for you?
Oh my, I love them all, but I guess take it when you can get it while you can, you know, because that's the opportunity was there. And the first songs we did was the comic book, and Murder Battle, and we did it, and then we started on the album. But the author of the comic book was excited about it, the way we delivered it, and so Dan says we're going to do an album right afterwards, and I didn't realize that. I thought we was going in the studio and I was going to sit down and me and him was going to just try to write some songs. So I didn't really know what to expect, but when I found out he had the songs already written, but he would have to tell me in my ear what I was supposed to say next until I got the songs memorized. And I rely, when you really can't see that good, you rely on your memory. Your memory increases because even coming to this room, I had to remember every which way I turned and how far I went, basically. And in a building like this, you kind of even have to count the steps because you know you got to go so many steps in turn. Because like I say, I don't see up or down, and I don't see horizontal. I don't have any parental vision, so I can only see one person at a time.
So finally then, because the album is called Goin Platinum, and like you say, this is like living a childhood dream. Do you have any expectations of what it entails to be a musician, or do you have any expectations of what this album will do?
It's gonna go platinum, you know. I mean, it's got to do it. Because if it don't, we could be held for false advertisement or misleading the press. so when we did the album and we was out, I didn't realize that, you know, they were searching for a name for the album, but I made a comment to Dan's wife. When she came in and she said, "Oh, I love the album, it sounds good." And I just said it, you know, I said, "Oh yeah, we're going platinum," you know, and Dan laughed, and we all had a big laugh about it. Mm-hmm. And he says, "That's it. That's what we got to call it, you know, going platinum." But what about the record is so each song on the album tells its own story. Mm-hmm. And it's in his own category, you know. I call it more like a gumbo. You got a little bit of every kind of music in this album, so it's not a thing where you one track stuck on the blues or the next track you're stuck on rock and roll or southern soul. You get to a little all of it by the time you play through the album. If you're a music lover at all, it's going to be at least one or two songs on there that's going to reach out and grab you. The greatest part about it, they all, when you finish listening to the song, it's like you read a short novel, or like you read a book. You can actually, I feel like if you had to take a test on it, you know, in school or something, that the kids could really make a book report on each song, because they're just that plain, and they deal with everyday life, deal with the things that people have to deal with every day. It's no phony stuff. It's no make believe. It's just real life, and so it makes it easy to relate to. When I'm singing, and people can feel it, relate it. And then, so you can imagine what I feel when it's coming out of my soul. So I had to like swallow it and digest it, and then you know, give it back to the world. So it's no words to explain. Well, I know no words to explain the feeling that comes from hearing the audience. But actually, that's what gives you that scribe to make you want to go higher or hit a higher note. Sometimes you find yourself doing things that you really didn't know you could do yourself because of the energy that comes from the audience. And the greatest thing about this record is, I think it fills the generation gap, because I've heard comments from the elderly, and then I've heard comments from the kids, you know what I'm saying, for people all ages can dance off the same song, off the same album. And I think that's spectacular that he was able to find this this style of you know, it's not something that you turn the radio on and you hear every day. And so, you know, it had to be a lot of work involved to putting it together.
And it's like you say, I think, in the beginning, like, it's music and it's this universal language.
Yeah.
Robert, I think my time's up, so thank you so much for your time. And I wish you well with the album.